The Missing Witches podcast is entirely listener-funded. If you want to support the project, join us and our coven at patreon.com/missingwitches.
You aren't being a proper woman, therefore you must be a witch. You must be a witch.
I want to talk about bees. They've been working all winter long, walking in formation through the dark, cold nights, eating their stores, shivering to keep the center warm where the women sit, who will bring their whole community back to life when it's time. And it's almost time. But first, I want to entreat you to listen to your room, wherever you are, and in your room, your breath. And beneath your breath, your heart. Place your hand on your heart or against your vulnerable throat to hear the bass line that is with you all the time. Let it begin to move you. Bring your awareness down to feel that internal rhythm in between your hips. Feel the curling serpent of your spine, flock of tiny bones, song of nerve ending, and let them move like a reed in a stream running deep. Sway, just a little private Salome. Worship for a moment your own Bastet, dancing goddess of both pleasure and health, or Nataraja Shiva, divine cosmic dancer who manifested the universe through dance, and who is honored with a bronze statue of the dancing god at CERN, the Center for Research in Particle Physics. You are particle and swarm. You are dancing all the time. The gods Vishnu, Krishna, and Indra were called Madhava, the nectar-born ones, and their symbol is the bee. Divinity is in bee nectar born. Bubbling in the crook of trees, Dr. Julia Skinner tells us people found the first honeymead. Ferments and fungi opened our third eyes, inner eyes, and we saw the nature of the divine, or nature in all ways it is and was already what we call divine. Hindu bee goddess Bharani came to be when a demon set out to destroy the natural and divine world, and no god could stop them on their own. But the gods called upon the goddess mother, primal energy, and a new divinity kinship formed, massive. Bees swarming from her four hands, she closed her eyes and summoned bees, hornets, wasps, flies, termites, mosquitoes, and spiders from the skies, and they crawled onto her body and clung onto her, merging with her to create the divine form of Bharani Devi. They were multiple, as we are, in our own bodies, with our billions of microbe, fungal, and mite companions, and together they defeated the end of the world, and the sound of their kinship remains in our essential life, sound, breath, and heart. This buzzing is imitated in Vedic chants, and it both represents and is the essential sound of the universe. The essential sound of the universe is in swarms and particles, and in your own heart. This kinship is how we defeat the end of the world. The god of love carries a bow with a string made of bees. Bees are particle and wave and strings and weavers of love. The twin horsemen, the Aspens, lords of light, have a whip dripping with honey. And a Vedic prayer rings out, "O Aspens, lords of brightness, anoint me with the honey of the bee, that I may speak forceful speech among men." Swarming kinship, be with me. Let me speak truth forcefully. Let me remember the swarm that we are. Let us return to our dances. Wherever you are, no matter how constrained, you can imagine dancing and bathe your cells in neural light, because the neurons that fire when you dance or when you imagine dancing are almost exactly the same. Neither your body nor your desk job can fucking stop you, holy dancer. Bathe in light. When a person dances or imagines dancing, the area of the cerebrum that holds images of muscle movement is stimulated and sends messages to the hypothalamus. If the dance image is one of deep joy or release, the body is put into a healing state through the hypothalamic pathways. The body can bathe every cell in the body with a hormonal flood as the imagery lights up the neural nets in the brain. So imagine your hips are rocking side to side, like a boat that is safe in quiet waves, warm breeze, beneath the vast dance of the cosmos. Imagine you are a tree in a summer wind. Imagine you are holding a sleeping child in your arms, and you are rocking and bouncing and humming gently. And you are beyond tired, but the movement comes of its own volition. Rock your child. And by your child, I mean that unique spark of life that is in each of us, no matter our gender or sex, to bring forth into the world, whatever form it may end up taking for you. Rock this spark of potential in your mind's eye. Let your strict spine and tense wrists go soft. Feel the milk, bone, blood of your strength holding you long after you let go. Feel us buzzing and upholding you. Feel us swarming and rocking you. You are one of us. You are beacon. Imagine us dancing together all across the world in this dark cave of listening where we hum and ferment our earthy, funky, messy, buggy, sexy, bloody, sticky divinity. This cave between our ears is a sacred cave of the divine Minoan bee goddess worship. Maybe those temples in stone have been lost, but all these billions in bone, we resonate still. The hum within us is full of echoes of the ancestors who've rocked us. And the ancestor self, who is one of ourselves, rocks us even when we are alone. My kid, 3 years old, woke up in the night afraid of bees. They were coming in the doors, she said. She was afraid they'd sting her, and I rocked her and told her, bees want to play and pollen and ride the wind and snuffle sweet flowers. They don't want to sting. But they will if they need to. To be clear, we will fucking sting if we need to. I will sting to protect her and to protect you. I told her stories from last year, which she remembers like a dream, of her helping our squash babies by pollinating them for us. She played the bee then because the plants were missing them. We've been missing them, our bee kin. We celebrate when we see them and leave out small bowls of water and sweetness. We leave bowls of sweetness in their honor. Offer yourself a bowl of sweetness in honor of your bee kin. Offer yourself a celebration. Play the bee to all the livingness around you who have been missing your kinship. Leave out bowls of sweetness. Imagine dancing with the wind and snuffling sweet flowers. You are bee kin. I held her as she fell back to sleep. And I thought of beekeeper families going out to tell the bees when their keeper has died. Because if you don't tell them, they get confused and flustered and disperse. Julia told us the families of beekeepers go and sit with them and mourn. Let the bees understand from your sorrow what has passed, what you are missing. Maybe they can help you find it. I held my kid and thought of families mourning in silence with the bees, and held the sadness for all that's missing, and held her fear. We hold swarms of hope and gather and loss and the intricate patterns of family. I whispered to her, and I'll whisper to you, little kin, little beloved one, how the bees talk to each other in funny dances, with a buzz and waggle, and a shake and a sway. We fell back to sleep finally, muttering waggle and shake and sway. Back into the buzz and dance of dreaming, of finding the world to be more magical, hopeful, heartbreaking, and vast than you knew. You are more vast than you knew, and the dance of the world is always inside you. You are beacon. You are swarm. Hold this safely in your belly and your heart and in your lungs. Artemis, Demeter, and Persephone had priestesses called Melissa or Melissae, bees, or Melissonomoi, beekeepers. From Minoan culture on into high Athenian society up until the Roman Empire violently suppressed pagan religions, women who celebrated and tended to the spirit of harvest, of fertility, of creation, were bound up with the dances and knowledge of bees. In 1954, for the Classical Weekly, Lillian B. Lawler wrote, "A mimetic dance of bee priestesses would have included flying and flitting movements, the unflinging of arms in abandon or invocation, swirling in dizzy circles. Here one recalls Cretan paintings of women with hair flying up as they circle rapidly in the dance. Half circles to right and to left with shaking of the hips. On occasion a grape-like figure or picture representing a swarming cluster of bees, and probably similar pictures representing lilies and other flowers visited by bees. And a mimetic or symbolic portrayal of the feeding of honey to a divine child. Throughout there would have been much humming, buzzing, or intoning of sacred songs. The dance would probably have been accompanied with symbols. Symbols were actually found in the Idaean cave, and would have increased in frenzy until one or more of the priestesses was seized with the spirit of prophecy and cried out words of dread import. I love to imagine these prophetic, pollen-dusted dancing women. And I love to imagine you, prophetic and pollen-dusted, women, men, queer, trans, gender expansive, unflinging your arms in abandon or invocation, hair flying, humming, intoning, winged and pollen-dusted, dancing to hear better the truths of your beacon, dancing together in celebration, in movements learned directly from the dances of the bees themselves. Because they are dancers, our beacon, and we have been dancing with them for longer than we remember. Lillian wrote, "The bee performs two dances, the round dance and the waggle dance. Both are used by workers returning to the hive to report the finding of a good supply of food. If the distance of the food from the hive is less than about 50 meters, the worker bee performs a round dance, describing circles about its own axis. The dance is spirited, even wild. The bee throws up its legs as high as it can and moves in dizzy circles. Other bees at first look on. Then the frenzy of the dance seems to communicate itself to them, and they join in. After the dance, they fly out to seek the food." We knew of these dances, and then we forgot, and now we rediscover them again. We slowly and suddenly slip into the memory of dancing, and it washes our neural nets in ancient light. We are beacon, descendants of Melissae, who devoted their lives to the ritual and play and resonances of bees. We follow them back to the hive of our communion with our beacon, with each other, with a resonance that crafts tiny interlocking hexagons of interdependence. Back to the dance. The Melissae dance here in the cave of our memory. They unfurl, unfling our bodies, our neural hives. They dance in you a DNA memory, a whispered possibility of sacred sway and play where the lines between us and others soften with the grace of joy. In the Homeric hymns to Hermes we find there are certain holy ones, sisters born, 3 virgins gifted with wings. Their heads are besprinkled with white meal, and they dwell under a ridge of Parnassus. They are teachers of divination, apart from me, the art which I practiced, yet as a boy following herds, though my father paid no heed to it. From their home they fly, now here, now there, feeding on honeycomb and bringing all things to pass. And when they are inspired through eating yellow honey, they are willing to speak truth. But if they be deprived of the god's sweet food, then they speak falsely, as they all swarm in and out together. Maybe we've been deprived of the sweet food of the earth, and our dances have lost their truth. But that doesn't mean we have to stay this way. In ancient Crete and Greece, there were those who devoted their lives to these sisters and their arts. And then there was everyone else, and on certain holy days, the line between those blurred. Everyone who joined the dance became, for a little while, one of them. Melissa, Melissae. And this is the dance the witchcraft of bee kinship invites you to. Call yourself what you like. You are called by your secret name, invited, chosen to enter this dance. Remember this dance. Imagine this dance and shapeshift with us. Become both bee and beekeeper, one with the spirit and also one who is tending to them. Be one with all this magical in-betweenness, caught up in the whirl of the wild dance, dizzy with all its knowledge. Move together, and then fly out to find what the dance told you you might find. You are called, invited, chosen. You are Melissa, Melissae. You are bee-kin, beekeeper. You are pollen danced and pollen dusted and unflung. The circle of kinship with the humming world and all its in-betweenness includes you always. You've always been here, and we've always been missing you. We leave bowls of sweetness out in your honor.
You aren't being a proper woman, therefore you must be a witch. You must be a witch.
The Missing Witches podcast is entirely listener funded. If you want to support the project, join us and our coven at patreon.com/missingwitches.